Not working now.
Quick second. Okay. Okay, all right, welcome to the Landmark Commission meeting. Kristen, do you want to call the roll?
Mr. Griffiths?
Here?
Mr. Whaley?
Here.
Mr. Schultz?
Here.
Mr. Truca?
Here.
Mr. Freitas?
Here.
Ms. Yandel will not be here today. And Mr. Meinzer is coming, but he's running late.
Okay. All right, first is the review of the minutes from April 20th meeting. Are there any questions, comments on the minutes from the committee? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes? Moved.
A second.
Second, and do we need to call the roll? No? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, perfect. All right, the first application is for 305 East Water Street. We're going to have a comment from staff first, and then we can hear from the applicant, who's not too far away.
So you'll notice in the presentation and in the staff report that we are looking at the appropriateness of the location of this mural. So where it is, how big it is, how it's applied, if that's appropriate in the historic district as proposed. We are not looking at the content of it. So whether we like the art, whether we think the art is a good idea, that we don't have the authority to regulate content because of the First Amendment. It's just whether it's appropriate to apply a mural in this fashion on this particular building because of the because it's in our historic district.
And to the chair, if I may, to add to Ms. Blair's comment, we're also looking at paint and how it affects the material. So the type of paint, is it breathable? That's just my only comment to add.
Yeah. So just to clarify, essentially, as I understand it, we are being asked to consider the appropriateness of a mural in a particular location in a historic district or on a historic building. We do not have any remit to comment on the content, artistic quality, or lack thereof of said mural. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Any questions on that from committee or thoughts? Questions for staff? Okay. All right, let's go ahead.
So this application is for a painted exterior mural on 305 East Water Street. And that building is a non-contributing structure within the downtown Sandusky Historic District. It was built around 1920. There's little known history of the structure. It's currently used as a mixed-use building with a residential unit on top and a retail storefront and a restaurant bar, or a bar at the back with some parking and a patio. It has been modified several times since the 1980s. Again, it's a non-contributing structure in the historic district. The application is for a certificate of appropriateness to paint a mural on the western facade exterior, and this is facing Hancock Street. So the materials state that the muralists are well-accredited professionals. They've done recent work in the area. They are proposing to use a Sherwin-Williams paint brand that is specifically formulated for the use on brick and masonry. And it is designed to reduce blistering and coating failure. It is a breathable paint, so it is a paint designed to be used on masonry. And that utilization of the paint will ensure the continued health of the architecture, the underlying architecture. Our Sandusky Preservation Design Guidelines are, the reason why we have to get a certificate of appropriateness is because there's a change in the exterior color of the building if a paint is applied. Our design guidelines don't give us any specific guidance on murals. They do mention if a mural is existing from like a historic mural, even if it's a sign, a historic sign, that those should be preserved. Other cities, I kind of Googled around, other cities show that murals were common at the time where of the historic significant period of our downtown. This is an example where you can see this is a beautiful picture of what is now Small City Tap House, that structure, but in the background there's a giant mural signage on the side of a building. So in the time frame of this historic significant period of our downtown, murals on sides of buildings were common. The National Preservation Standards and their subsequent preservation design briefs, which is where we go to look for guidance from those, don't really offer a lot of suggestions for us on the addition of new murals. They do mention when you paint a building for cosmetic reasons, the new colors should be appropriate to the style and the setting of the building. So you'll notice that the staff report mentions the style and the setting of the building. Also, when you're determining the features that define what the character of a structure is significant, the preservation standards mention the building shape, the character of the openings, the roof and related features, the projections, the trim, and the setting. And the reason why we mention this is when you're looking at this structure, anything of the definable character of this structure, while it is not defined as contributing to the character of the district as a non-contributing structure, the character of the structure is mostly found on the front facade. So the side wall where the mural is proposed doesn't contain any really strong character, defining architectural character of the structure.
You know, it almost seems somewhat like the mural that was destroyed on the back of the State Theater. I mean, a very similar.
Yeah.
So staff has determined, based on our findings, we've determined the proposed mural is appropriate to this structure in this location, and that's based on the following analysis. Because the building is non-contributing, it's been drastically altered from its original construction. The secondary elevation, so the side wall on which the mural is proposed, is not significant to the character of the building itself. In the time period of our historic district, sidewalls of buildings would have been covered by attached neighboring structures, so it very likely would have been hidden and not even existed to the eye because a building would have been touching it or connected to it. Or if when sidewalls were exposed, it was common to paint them with large signage and mural style imagery. Also, the proposed paint is appropriate for the masonry and the long-term health of the building. So we appreciate the applicant's investment in the building and the contribution to public art in Sandusky. I also sit on the Public Arts Commission, and from that lens, this would be a huge contribution to the character of our downtown. From the historic preservation lens, obviously, is where I'm sitting today, but we do believe that it will enhance the character of the surrounding area, and we recommend granting the certificate of appropriateness for the mural at this location with the following conditions: that all applicable permits are obtained through the building department, engineering department, planning, vision, and any other applicable agency prior to construction, and that the applicant agrees to be responsible for any routine maintenance and upkeep the mural will require, including cleaning, touch-ups, and graffiti removal as applicable. One final note is that we have received a few letters of support for this project since a public notice. So because the mural is proposed in this location, it's defined under our sign code as a wall sign. Because the wall sign is facing a public right-of-way, it's subject to size requirements. So the applicant is also going to the Board of Zoning Appeals tomorrow to get a variance from that size requirement. That necessitates a public notice. So everyone within 300 feet got the public notice for the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. And since that notice went out, we've received, was it 2 or 3?
One in writing, several verbal.
And I got another one in email. So we've 3 calls, 2 emails in writing supporting the project.
Any not supporting the project?
No.
Okay, good.
Okay, so the applicant is Ryan Whaley, who's a member of the commission, and obviously will not be voting on this particular matter. Would you like to make a comment as the applicant?
Sure. I mean, it does seem that I tend to acquire buildings with shady history or little known history. The idea here is, without commenting on the art piece, it is just, the idea is to kind of help beautify that area of the neighborhood and the building itself. I think the any mural would lend itself well to that part of town. And it does seem like, contrary to popular belief, my neighbors like me very much. So, or actually, they like the idea of a mural beautifying that area. I know folks spend a lot of time in that park as well, of course, at paddle bars. But I do think that it will be another bright spot in downtown as folks are, as East Water Street really seems to be getting activated.
Great, thank you. Any comment from other commission members? Okay, I guess
I was just gonna say, I think it's great, obviously, the first time staff has mentioned it, I've been pretty passionate about this. So thanks for going after it. You know, I mean, it's leading by example. It is such a big piece, right? So it's powerful, and I really think it's leading by example, and hopefully it'll encourage other people to do the same. I mean, that is a big wall. I mean, it's gonna be awesome. So I hope it all works out for you.
I thank you. I hope that's what it does too. I hope that people go, hey, this is another idea, yeah.
Okay, well, hearing no comment, can I have a motion on this particular application?
I move that we approve the application.
I said, oh, sorry.
Kristen, you want to call the roll, please?
Mr. Griffiths,
Yes?
Mr. Whaley,
Abstain.
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Truca,
Yes.
Mr. Freitas.
Yes.
Great. Congratulations, Ryan. Look forward to seeing it. One comment I would make to staff and just for the commission is, this is obviously the first of these applications we've seen. I suspect there will be many, many, many more, hopefully. So from a process perspective, it is my view, and I'd be interested in other people's views as to approvals for this, so long as, to my mind, so long as the applications meet the requirements from a technical perspective, as Mr. Oakes commented on the paint quality, the location, and they meet the sign ordinance, which I know in this case there's an appeal at the, there's an issue with the sign ordinance. I'm happy for staff to approve these administratively and let us know, like they do currently for administrative approvals. I think anything that kind of falls out of the norm they would bring to us. So I'm just wondering what others think.
I think now that I've gone through the process, I think I can comment on it now, right? That's cool.
It's approved.
Yeah, it's approved. But I think that that's a good way of handling it. And I'm glad it was, and mine's, that is a big mural, so I think that's something that does have to be,
Yeah.
potentially put in front of, I think that making that process a little simpler and a little bit clearer, and now that we've gone through it once and I've gone through it, I'm glad to help and because I could see that being pretty overwhelming, someone, I want to do a mural, but I got to go through this and this and this,
Yeah.
and to really simplify the process and make it easier for folks, because, I do think that with what the city is doing with murals, and certainly with that kind of, it almost, with that, the kind of the master plan, I think it goes along with things really well.
Yeah, I think that, I agree. You go to Bucyrus, Port Clinton, it's everywhere you go, it seems that, especially in areas along the lake, you're seeing more and more murals. So I think it's a great thing, and I don't see that we need to review everyone.
Yeah, I mean, we're so lucky that the city staff is just crushing it every which way, and thank you. So it's really exciting.
Thanks for the compliment.
Okay, just checking, you are happy with that?
I would feel comfortable with that if there's anything, especially if it's a nationally registered historic building. I would
Yeah.
probably caution an applicant to
That would be
think twice about that. Generally, if it's a sidewall or a real rear wall, if it seems to fall under the similar cadence of what we found here, I think that's good direction. That seems, and anything that was outside of that, we'd bring to you all for discussion.
And you have all those murals proposed with the Arts Commission, right?
Those are vinyl, so they're
Those are vinyl.
temporary.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then last meeting, the direction I got from the commission was that we could approve those administratively as well.
Yeah, so I know.
Okay.
If I may add to the chair, one further comment, it may be easier if we maybe have staff administratively approve just applications within the commercial historic district, and the other building outside of that comes in front of you all. I don't know if that would simplify anything. It seems that the murals are going to be concentrated downtown just based on feedback and our ideas of what it's probably going to take off to, unless you guys would want us to administratively approve every.
Yeah,
They have jurisdiction over the historic district.
Well, if it's on the National Register too, and it's outside of the district.
If it's outside of the
Yeah.
downtown district.
Yeah, I think we can maybe work to just codify those rules a little bit, but, in my mind, as long as it's not a building on the National Register and it's not on a facade of the building that significantly contributes to the historical nature of the building, as we discussed in this case, I'm happy. I think generally we're happy for staff to approve that administratively. Okay. Moving swiftly on and welcoming Commissioner Meinzer. Good to see you. We are skipping 128 East Market and moving straight on to 165 East Water Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is for a door replacement. This structure is a contributing building in the downtown Sandusky Commercial Historic District. It's supposed to be 1860, not 1960. The structure is significantly older than 1960, built in 1860. There's little known history on the building that staff could find. What we could find is it has historically been a storefront on the first floor, and there's some unique history to this structure. Is there used to be a theater on the second floor, which at one point would be very interesting to see. From the 1979 historic inventory, there were a few items mentioned of significance, of which being rounded arch windows with stone arches on the second floor, a large arched Venetian door, gambrel roof, 2 ornate dormered windows, iron pilasters besides doorways at first floor, Kunin's water table.
What does that mean? Our architect, what's a koyin? Do you know what that is? Q-O-I-N? No, just, all right, putting you on the spot.
Making up words.
Okay, nobody knows what that means.
So the applicant is seeking to alter 2 doors on the structure, one of which is on the south side here in the picture facing Water Street, and the other is facing the east side on Hancock Street.
Wayne Street.
Wayne Street, excuse me. So in the south side facing Water Street, the applicant's seeking one of 2 things. We recently talked with him to confirm where he stood on this process. He ideally would like to salvage and preserve the existing door to the guideline standards, but also if that's not applicable, based on findings, he also wishes to replace the door with an identical wood door. Also would be the same size shape to what's existing there. Windows and panels as well would be the same size shape, type of glass, and the color would match as closely as possible in a cream to the existing door. And then door number 2 on Wayne Street, they wish to replace it entirely with a single steel door, the color to be the same as shown in that cream, matching the front and then also the existing door. The guidelines triggering this requirement say this, that do we wish to preserve older or original doors? If deteriorated, replace them as closely as possible, is the main takeaway from the guidelines. Staff comments. We would like to see the original door restored if current conditions would allow that to be possible. For restoration, the use of wood putty, filler paint, new glass panels if originals are broken or cracked, new wood to replace portions of rotted wood as needed to fortify the structure we feel is appropriate. The doors also, if the doors deteriorated beyond the ability to repair, a replacement wood and glass door, the same window size, trim, color, etc., we feel is also appropriate. The Wayne Street facing door, we determined it's appropriate as well. We've determined that the material is appropriate and that this is not an original door to this building, and the replacement of the steel, as long as it matches the color that blends it with the building, would be appropriate. Staff recommends granting the certificate of appropriateness for the replacement of the Wayne Street door as proposed in the steel and the color, and then also the restoration of the original Water Street door would be preferred as option B, but there's an option C if that's not applicable, which we'd like to see the replacement with like materials, colors, shapes, etc., with the following conditions, and that's that all permits are obtained through the building, engineering, planning department, and any other agency prior to alteration.
Just a couple comments. We had talked to this applicant. He called his contractor, and his contractor recommended an AZEC replacement door. And so that's what he had applied for. And when we called him back and said, hey, the front door is really historically significant. Did you look into restoring that? And he was like, oh, I can look into restoring that. He asked us, could you get me the approval both ways? So if I can restore it, I'll restore it. But if I can't, I'll replace it with wood. So he took the composite door off the table and is willing to replace it with wood, but obviously we wrote in the staff report that we really would like to see the original restored if at all possible.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Question? Yep.
Well, I guess I'll go. I mean, how rotted is the bottom of the door, right? It just looks, because if it's not rotted, as someone who's personally built hundreds of doors, styles and rails and sort of different types of glass, if it's really rotted, it's doable to go in and kind of remove that bottom rail, but it could get a little messy. So, you know, it could just fall out, and if it's rotted, it's rotted. And if you're gonna then just rebuild the right door, you might as well, make a brand new left door as well. So I guess it makes sense, in my opinion, to leave that up to the owner and just trust them. To rebuild that door, I mean, if someone came to me to rebuild both of those doors, those are gonna be expensive doors. From an energy standpoint, I think getting a better piece of glass in there could maybe offset a few dollars, but it's really just more in the spirit of, let's say, energy if possible. Off of also the building code, I don't know if necessarily I would want to be tempered, but that probably is not tempered. So if someone did break into that, there's just some safety issues there, right, of someone potentially breaking in and hurting themselves on site, right? So I just feel like once you start taking old stuff out, you open yourself as a business owner, or just, a property owner, to some liabilities there. So if I was the property owner, I'd really want to leave it in my court. But either way, there's some significant costs there to replace both of those with new wood doors and new wood glass. That's really all I got. I don't want to tell somebody on that their business. But you're not really going to know until you scrape all that off and take it off and see what you got there. So I don't know if that helps at all, but
I mean, I think the good news in this case is the property owner's open to exploring it and seeing what it looks like, and then going from there with restoration or new. So they don't seem to be that concerned about.
I guess I was just thinking, like, if you take it off and you start to alter it, does that just bring in some code challenges, right? Or does the building official get involved? Or are we just trusting, right, to?
I don't know the answer to that question. The change in use would, if the use was going to be changed in the building, that would signal an inspection. I don't know all the cases that would signal an inspection of a front doorway.
Like if it was just being repaired, you put it back on, no big deal, but take it out, you put a new one in. Maybe there's other rotted parts around there. I'm just saying, like, once you start taking stuff off, right? And I'd say all of you own more property than I do. So you know what it's like to restore stuff. Like, once you start pulling stuff off, you can open yourself up to other stuff. So, I don't know, that's all.
The code issue might be that I believe that door opens in currently. And so depending on how you change it, you might be forced to change it to a door that opens out, which is current code.
Great point.
But I'm just, bringing up that point. I'm not sure what, it might be, grandfathered in because of the age of the building. I'm not sure. Like, one of the buildings I have, it opens in, and I was able to do it with a newer door because of, that was the only way that door could open properly because of the nature of the building. But that's a thought.
Mr. President, is anybody representing Mr. Steinemann tonight, or is it just trust? Okay. I'm comfortable with staff's recommendation. And then they do talk about applicable permits from building and engineering and probably fire as well for safety issues. So kind of fine. And I should say that not this Mr. Steinemann, Cable Steinemann, but Mr. Steinemann that I know was one of the pioneers of the Renaissance downtown. So I trust that Cable's inherited a little bit of that and is going to make it nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other comments? Okay. Can I have a motion on this particular application for, lost track of what address we're on, 165 East Water Street?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like a motion that we provide a certificate of appropriateness for replacement of the Wayne Street door as proposed, the restoration of the original Water Street door, and the replacement of Water Street door with wooden and glass panel door, or the same detail and character as originally, only if they can't fix the original door. And of course, as staff recommends, applicable to all building, fire, and engineering codes.
Second?
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, Kristen, you call the roll?
Mr. Griffiths,
Yes?
Mr. Meinzer,
Yes.
Mr. Whaley,
Yes.
Mr. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Truca,
Yes.
Mr. Freitas.
Yes.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, I think we have 2 administrative approvals that were provided last
Correct.
month. Okay,
So we'll start at 206 West Market. It's for a sign replacement at what is now Crowbar. Here last month for a storefront replacement. Staff administratively approved their signage, excuse me, because it was not internally illuminated. I'll dive in deeper in that in a second. This structure is not contributing, or excuse me, is contributing to the downtown Sandusky Historic District. This is somewhat of a repeat from last month, so I'll keep the historical details to a minimal. There wasn't much history found, luckily, for this point in time on the building. To keep this minimal, it was built in 1900. Local historical inventory listed the brickwork and colors, presumably on the second and third floors, as an important feature, which we would not like to see altered. The sign itself is a backlit, halo illuminated lighting signage. We did confirm with the applicant that the disco ball itself will not be forward-facing illuminated. It's only backlit. It's going to be a sticker on aluminum face. There was some discussion back and forth that they were going to make it facing forward, illuminating, and they decided to not. So for that reason, we could administratively approve it. We don't see any issues as a staff with this lighting. We have similar cases that have been approved as halo lit and not considered internally illuminated. So for that reason, staff granted approval, drafted the guideline, or excuse me, the certificate of appropriateness on 5/18/2022 with the following conditions, and that's that all applicable permits are obtained through the building department, engineering department, planning department, and any other applicable agency.
Now, I don't know if any of you printed your agenda from the link on the website, but it looks like the old storefront application was in there, but we updated it because Alec had the right one, but I had the wrong one, so can you note to update the link?
Yeah, it's updated on the screen.
Thanks. I've got it. What I printed today, I pulled down from our website. So we check the link after this, Kristen.
okay.
And then second item that was staff approved is at 128 East Market Street. It's for a storefront renovation. This is a contributing structure in the downtown Sandusky Historic District. Once again, also a repeat, next door neighbor to one that's been in front of the commission before. Minimal historical inventory on this building as well that staff could find. Important features are the brick patterns, pilasters with brick designs, and designs brick over under windows. Once again, all assumed to be second and third floor of this structure. So we believe that this storefront is contemporary storefront, probably in 60s through 1980s. So it has been altered from its historical significance. They seek to replace the aluminum frame windows and door with a bronze frame window and door in the same size and character of the existing. The applicant also seeks to remove the white panels and aluminum frames at the foot level and replace them with black aluminum to match the window frames and door that's proposed. We do believe that this will increase curb appeal to the storefront while maintaining the historic significance of the remaining significant factors of the structure. We do not see any of the structures replaced to be original to the building or its character, nor does it contribute to this historic significance of the building. We saw this as a minor change and completed the application with staff approval. The COA was drafted 5/18/2022 based on the following conditions, and that's that all permits are obtained through the building department, engineering department, planning department, and any other applicable agency prior to alteration, and also that no brick is painted as part of the project.
And just confirming, this is the other half of the same building that we had previously approved for the
That is correct, yeah.
Morgan Matthews Design Studio. And it's exactly the same materials and colors, et cetera. Is that
Without the AZEC, I believe was how we pronounced it, wood, correct, yeah. The black aluminum panel was similar. The frames looked to be more or less identical in color and material, so.
And this one didn't involve removing any panels like the porcelain that was on the one to the east, which was a question. Some things can be determined to have historical significance if they've been there long enough, so the porcelain panel was different on the east building than this one.
Great, thank you. Any
Aluminum,
comments on those staff approvals? All right.
It's gonna look nicer though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That whole corner's coming together really well.
Yeah.
It'll look a lot better.
More to come.
It's great to see Market Street coming along.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Good. Any other business? Other
Oh,
business?
we've welcomed an intern to our team, Darsh Shah, right?
Yeah.
Darsh Shah. He's a graduate student at the University of Cincinnati in their urban design program. So he'll be here with us for the summer and helping on a bunch of different stuff. So just wanted to welcome Darsh and introduce y'all.
So, hi everyone, my name is Darsh, and as she told, I'm interning over here, and I'm looking forward to get good experience and good boost my skills over here. It's been a week over here, but I have learned a lot. I just told her today that it already feels like that it's a month over here. And I'm really enjoying it, so looking forward to good experience over here.
Perfect. Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Well, you got
Good to see
you got a good team here, so you got a lot going on, so good time to learn.
Agree.
Good. Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Did you do the first agenda item already?
We did already.
Oh, okay, you got
Yeah.
it. Oh, you're,
Freighter showed
okay.
up and we had it on.
I missed,
We-
I'm sorry, I'm like, yeah. You made me come up with
I was like, he's dragging him out of it.
I'll
We
make
appreciate your input on the other ones, though.
Yes, so moved. Yeah.
All right.
At least my shirt's better than my thing.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.